So, okay, so the requesters for all that type of pornography that they're talking about were put into motion by somebody related to French intelligence. And it could also just be psychological. Like they pointed everybody in that direction. And everybody that was predisposed to do that was pointed at Grok. The same way they point people at ICE to be angry at. Same way they tell somebody that they have to be trans. Now, peer groups is only a certain level of that. By using reasons they can create for people to fight one another, which creates issue, the happier they are. Because they don't care. They're making money, living a great life. They don't care what the planet is. At this stage of the game, most of them figure they'll be off the planet before it ever gets too bad. That's really where they are. You might see a change in the future, like maybe 20, 30 years down the road. Because that as it becomes more apparent that the planet's going to self-destruct, and Elon didn't make it, so that's why this whole Marsism thing. And again, who do you think is going to go? I mean, it's only a handful of people. I mean, unless something seriously changes. Yeah, it's heading for the end. Hey, you all did it. Congratulations. Nothing's physical. It's all metaphysical. It looks physical. And the physical does exist, but it's manipulated by metaphysical action and reaction. I told you, you can't beat God. And that includes the churches. They're out there trying to beat God. God was just pull the plug. I don't know. You know, God's doing what God's doing. You know, I don't have all the information, but got more than anyone else on the planet. And a big part of this is a sexual manipulation. Again, there's a lot of women that get into the government. They spread their legs for a while, and then everybody has to worship their investigative ability, and it's not really there. So then all of a sudden, poor investigators are being carried as the best of the best. And of course, the work doesn't get done, but they don't care because they're getting paid not to do the work. Then they go out and they work for social media. It starts all over again. Spread your legs for social media, bosses or whoever. Yeah, at least Elon tried to, make some legitimacy off of promiscuous techie bosses. He at least tries to pay some money there, make a life for his children. I think Vivian's his best child because she's at least critical. And you may not agree with her politics, but at least she's critical. It happens. Again, it's metaphysical. I don't know. He could have done it because he didn't like her voice or something. Even before she was trans. I mean, I could do it, man. Oh, you sound like a girl. And you project that she might be a girl one day. I mean, that's how simple it is. I mean, there's more at play, but that's how simple it is. I killed everything, including my study through physics, so I could figure out where God was in physics. I got close to it. Well, because if I dispel the science versus religion thing, then they can't use that. The spies can't use that to destroy whatever it is we got going on here when we have something going on. Right. So again, it's either French intelligence, it's the Facebook, right? France, these people. But if you somebody associated, affiliated with French intelligence, it's likely this manipulation of pointing people in this direction. All he had to do, again, when I was asleep, I didn't get it. When I woke up, I figured it all out, going back, 40 years, and what was happening contemporaneously. They pointed me to speak with people in other countries just so they could. They actually eventually tried to use. I did use what do they call that? The letters, the national security letters, for just deep state shit. That's what that was. Like you look at, oh, you incorrectly used the national security letter. Why? Because it's deep state. Now there was some terrorist type stuff, real stuff. I mean, there's a certain level of human nature in people. So when you try not to be isolated, they use that to manipulate everything in their direction. It's just bullshit. Again, the idea of they're saying it's a survival thing that people, animals became gay or whatever it is. To a certain degree, but it's also a psychological thing. Nobody wants to be alone. Right? So if they isolate a person and they keep putting that gay at them, eventually they might be it. Again, it's the will. Remember, it's the will of the people saying they shouldn't be it, overwhelmingly, that's causing it. So that right there, it's in the scriptures. It's a part of scriptures they don't want you to look at. Yeah, they've been planning this for months. The hit on Elon and Grok. They want to own it. They want it to produce all the anti-ICE AI that they can. Now, I don't know if Grok produces any of that. I'm not sure where it's all coming from, but that's the most effective method of radicalization. Now, the Russians are part of this also. The Russians will get people that fight Russians all day to do what Russia wants. I mean, it's reality. I mean, if they can't win over here, they'll win over there if they can. Right. You can be anti-Russian all day, but be empowering Putin and not care because you're rich anyway, and you don't give a shit. Right? Prep schoolie spoonfish. That's what our country. And people are being stirred. Like if they're hitting Elon right now, like senators may have been hit like 2 weeks ago to start it, or even before that. Who knows? No idea where Marge is, but Marge's a businesswoman. Maybe she's making money. I mean, to have that much faith in something called MAGA. I mean, what did you want the government to do? Because what you're asking the vote is what you say shouldn't be done. Well, just because they're rich doesn't mean you can make a case against them, or what you want us to blame. I mean, just go to Fed and kill it. But there's nothing there. It's just a bunch of raw data. So if somebody says Marge is a gay trans, and we should all believe that Marge is a gay trans, I believe that about Nancy Mace, but not about Marge. But that's what it's like. That's what some of that. I can't tell you where it is and where it isn't. I don't have the file. I didn't talk to these people. I'm not going to look it up. It's a waste of time. It's not going to give me any boost on the planet. I mean, maybe with Satan, if I started screaming, "Hey, let's get it!" Make a lot of noise for nothing. Right. Well, they say stuff like this. This is what they use against me a lot of times. Just somebody gets paid to say something. Russians could have paid people. If Russians paid what's his name, Epstein, they could have paid the people that put Epstein in to start the ball rolling on the bullshit. It's a psyop. Now, the Democrats are a big part of those psyops. Right. and some Republicans. Narcos. The narcos would get on the anti-Trump Epstein thing in a second. So would sex traffickers, right? Oh, they move money all the time, man. I'm telling you, the immigrant community was taking over the United States based upon narco money, whether they were into narcotics distribution or not. Sure. Give me some. It's just built all that. And of course, people that are U.S. citizens that are making money from narcotics distribution as realtors, car salesmen, they don't give a shit either. As far as not the whole thing, but a good percentage of it at this point. Because as that decreased the honest money in the nation, that was the only place to get it from. It's not like it's the only money, but they're making themselves the only game in town. And then all their businesses can't fail because it's backed by narcotics money. And then U.S. businesses and U.S. owners start going by the wayside. So just having businesses in the United States doesn't necessarily mean they're honest businesses. Yeah, I think I'm going the right way. I think I make a left of it. It's the snow. It just looks different. I'm like, am I on the road? I've been on this road before. Yeah, it's a much better day to go on a plane. It was freezing. Snow was still everywhere. I knew once because all the salt that's on the ground and everywhere. Once we hit that 20-degree mark steadily, we'd be somewhere. Yeah, I could deal with this weather all day. It's not that cold out, really. It's 20 something Fahrenheit. Again, I suspected that they were doing something to the Senate and the House when they were starting to flip on Trump. Some of them may be voluntarily doing it, starting to extort them. So now they're trying to extort Elon. That's extortion. France is engaged in extortion. The United States should see it as that. Send the spies. See who's trying to extort Trump or Elon. That may be Trump. No, they're part of the narco thing and everything. They live in them castles in Europe and shit. They don't give a shit about anybody, man. But they had Epstein visiting, trying to find a date in their bevy of underage girls. They are actually Epstein's source. That's actually who they are. Once we fixed America a little bit, they were still continuing. They still do. Got enough money, nobody's going to say anything about you in Europe. They're not even going to know about you. You're going to be living in some castle in the middle of nowhere and have your little parties and abduct little girls like whatever that woman was named, McCann or whatever. Right. Naturally, it sounds like a setup. I mean, they're pumping all sorts of videos out all over the world, but all of a sudden, Elon's the one. Right? Meta came on board, so they may be attacking Elon as payment to Meta. Right. Oh, Meta started increasing its radicalization videos. I think it's even on Facebook at this point. It used to be just on that one and Facebook. Actually, I think I should have left it straight there. Make it. All right, here's I mean, I'm still going the right direction. It's just not the direction I need to go. This takes me to Walmart. Not Walmart. Actually, Walmart, Lowe's. I'm going the other direction so much. I don't know if it mattered. It's just a matter of a couple blocks anyway. Yeah, at this point, I probably should have went straight. These people are in these parking lots. An hour just to move 1 foot. Especially when they got Satan in their head and you're in a hurry. That's who does it. Satan. Satan tells people to go slow. So don't blame the people, blame Satan. But of course, some are evil. Right. Well, it's the Satan their whole life. So when you're behind them in traffic and you're a good person, they're going to block you up. You're in a hurry or something like that. They say, oh, you shouldn't be allowed to eat Mexican food because you're an ICE or whatever. But the reality is this: ICE is probably the best friend of Mexico at this point because it's the only thing that's going to begin to stop the bullshit and then return Mexico to a normal country. They're actually trying to take over the United States. And then they're paying politicians off and all sorts of people. So, you know. So the more foreigners that had money because of this transfer of funds, right, the less Americans that had money. So the less the politicians cared about the American, right, about the U.S. citizen. American is actually some larger term. So again, we're actually going by theoretically, quote unquote, interfering in the sovereignty of Mexico. We're actually going to shore up and deliver sovereignty back to Mexico. They're not sovereign now, not at all. Every narco's bitch, right? That's pretty much it. So again, we're getting into the plan, long range plan. But I mean, Trump administration, as fast as hard as they went the first year. Well, if the government of Venezuela doesn't come along, you're going to be gone. I mean, somebody else will be in. Oh, we don't have to do it. Their people will eventually do it. I mean, she has a chance of being reelected if she does the right thing. Turn herself into a Democrat or something instead of a fake socialist. I mean, we'd probably leave her alone if she was a Democrat. Right? At this point, they're fake socialists. I mean, although Trump tries to put people in all across the globe as a conservative, quote unquote. Right? But actually, Marge says he's not a conservative. And that's where he should be. He should have been where he was his first term, but they screwed it up. So kind of in the middle of the road. Right? Now, as far as trans in the military, that's like a whole different thing. It has nothing to do with being. I mean, for some people it does, quite frankly. But the reality is, it has to do with how the military uh, evaluates a person for service. Now, when they got into the point where you lack some sort of uh, character issues simply because you're trans, that's bullshit. But when they were saying it's really a medical issue, it's just a medical disqualification. So again, everybody likes to make some bullshit. So I don't know where it's going to go if somebody else gets in office. It's getting kind of crazy there. I thought the Supreme Court would say, maybe they didn't make the argument. Maybe there was no argument before the Supreme Court that it's on again, off again. They probably didn't. That would be the real argument. Like what? Another president comes in, then we go in, then they go out, they go in, they go out. Right. Good people that are trans and good people that aren't trans. I mean, that's this idea where because that's the deep state thing, where I can look at you and say this and that. It's just bullshit. Just like certain people are blackmailable and other people aren't. It's almost like reverse, because some people that are so anal about how they appear are actually corrupt, or they, they'll just freak out with the slightest threat of appearing bad, because they've seen other people character assassinate. Right. Yeah, definitely a better day here. Took me like 4 times to get here for this appointment. The other times I canceled before I even left my house. I mean, they were coming against it. They did a bunch of shit this morning too. I'm still dealing with something that they did. I'm looking at it. I'm like, there's no way this is natural. It's from their spells. Like they sent task force, like a whole task force of like, I don't even know what the number is, like 50 officers into a city I was living in, basically just to destroy my life and pay people off so that they would carry it on when they left. So a lot of money was wasted that way also. Not real task forces, not really stopping drugs, not really stopping prostitution or sex crimes, just simply attacking whoever the victim of the day is. And then they get paid in their personal life once they effectuate. So you also have to be careful of that as you move your task force, your ICE task force and Border Patrol, if they aren't. They're generally not the agencies that do it, but they could be. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do one iota of what they did, because they were like, we got you. You're stupid. They couldn't do it if they weren't allowed to commit felonies. I mean, real felonies, not some you know, qualified immunity type of thing. Yeah, it was funny because before the last appointment was canceled by then, but before that appointment, I came down the street, and when I went online, I said I got to make sure it's not at that other facility. But when I pulled up this address, the directions led me to the other address, and that's what it showed on the map. And I actually knew that there were two places. Make sure. I guess they don't use the other one, but for something, I got to look at what they use it. Yeah, I didn't get too far on. I had to do some bill payment. They were trying to get in the middle of my bill payment. They're trying to get me to pay with an account that was no longer good. I'm making it appear as my new account. Yeah, blocking poor men and women from paying their bills on bill pay day. Not satisfied with destroying their life so they don't have money. Why do you do it? Because you're a bunch of criminals, a bunch of unrepentant devil criminals. Basically, that's it. But again, there's a lot to it. That should be a real brief period. Well, look here. They're simply unrepentant devils. That's all they are. I mean, nothing to them. Worse than that. You know, we're out of the worst of this. I mean, it's going to go in for a few days. Looks like it's going to pull. It may not. It could actually change. Time will tell. Because when it goes into that when we come into the warming trend, sometimes that cooling trend doesn't happen. Time will tell. Let's see here.